Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I always thought I knew everything about my husband. After 8 years of marriage, you'd think there wouldn't be any more surprises. We've shared a home, raised a kid, celebrated birthdays, argued over the thermostat, and made up with late-night snacks and laughter. He's been my best friend, my safe place, and the one person I believed would never lie to me. But what I found out, completely by accident, shook everything I thought was true. It started as a normal Tuesday. I had just gotten back from work, a little more tired than usual. He was already home, acting like nothing was off. Smiling. Joking. Making dinner like always. But something was off. I didn't know what, but I could feel it. You know that gut feeling you get when someone you love is hiding something? That tightness in your chest, the way your brain starts connecting dots that don't quite make sense? That's what started happening to me. At first, it was small things. His phone, which used to sit unlocked on the counter, suddenly never left his pocket. He stopped talking about his day in detail. Conversations started feeling scripted, like he was walking on eggshells. I told myself I was just overthinking. We all go through phases, right? Maybe he was stressed. Maybe he was just tired. But the truth was, I had no idea what was really going on behind that familiar smile. Then came the night I decided to clean out the closet. He was out with friends, and I figured I'd finally get around to donating that pile of old clothes we never wore. That's when I found it, something I never expected. And no, I'm not going to say what it was. Not yet. Let's just say it wasn't just some random item. It was something that opened a door to questions I wasn't ready to ask. Something that made my stomach drop. And worst of all, it made me wonder how long he'd been hiding it. I wanted to believe there was a logical explanation. I wanted to be wrong. But what followed only made things worse. Late-night texts from unknown numbers. Quick calls he'd end as soon as I walked into the room. And that one message I read, just one line, that changed everything. Now I'm sitting here, questioning my entire marriage. Wondering how much of it was real. Was I just blind? Or was he really that good at hiding things? I don't know yet. But I'm going to find out. Before we go any further, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment where someone you trusted completely turned out to be hiding something big? Drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you were in my shoes, what would you do next? Stay and fight for answers, or walk away before it gets worse? Vote in the poll, leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to follow for part 2. Trust me, this is just the beginning. I couldn't stop thinking about that message. It was short, just a few words, but the tone, the way it was written, didn't feel like something from a coworker or an old friend. It felt personal. Like someone who knew him deeply. I read it 3 times before my hands started shaking. It said, "You promised you'd tell her by now." That's it. No name. No context. Just enough to mess with my head. That night, I couldn't sleep. He came home around midnight, said his usual, "Hey babe," kissed me like everything was fine, then headed straight to the shower. I watched him through the crack in the bathroom door, watched how calm he looked. Like a man with nothing to hide. And that made me feel crazy. Was I just being paranoid? Was I letting one message tear apart 8 years of trust? But I couldn't let it go. I needed to understand. I started looking back at things, moments that didn't seem like a big deal at the time. Like how he suddenly started taking his car to a different mechanic on the other side of town. Or how he now carried cash, even though we'd always used cards. Little habits that changed quietly, without explanation. And then there was his mood. He used to be open. Honest, even when it was uncomfortable. But lately? He was distracted, always busy, and somehow always tired. We used to talk about everything, our future, vacations, even random stuff like who'd win in a zombie apocalypse. But now? Our conversations felt like small talk. Surface level. No depth. I decided to test him. Nothing crazy, just casual questions. I asked him how work was going, if anything new was happening. His answers were short, almost rehearsed. Same stuff, different day. Meetings all day. But I already knew he hadn't been at work the whole time. His location tracking had gone off for a few hours. When I asked where he was around noon, he paused for just a second too long before saying, "Lunch with a client." That pause? It said more than his words ever could. I thought about confronting him right then. But something held me back. Maybe it was fear of what the truth would be. Or maybe a part of me still wanted to believe it was all a misunderstanding. That somehow, all these signs meant nothing. But the more I dug, the harder it got to ignore. His social media had gaps, weeks with no posts, no tags, no check-ins. And then there were the receipts. 2 hotel charges, 2 different days, both during times he said he was out of town for work. I didn't even know where those hotels were. And when I searched them, they weren't business hotels. They were the kind you book when you don't want to be found. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But I didn't. I just sat there, staring at the screen, trying to make sense of it all. Who was this man I married? What else was he hiding? And the question that kept looping in my mind, what if I've never really known him at all? Let me ask you this, if you were in my shoes, how far would you go to find the truth? Would you confront him? Or keep collecting proof? Comment below. I really want to know what you'd do. Part 3 is coming soon. Things are about to get even more real. The next few days felt like I was living 2 separate lives. On the outside, everything looked normal. I smiled, made breakfast, kissed him goodbye, answered work emails. But inside, I was spiraling. Every word he said, every move he made, I analyzed it like I was trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. I wasn't just looking at my husband anymore. I was studying him. Watching for cracks. I started talking to my best friend, Rachel, in secret. We've been close since college, and she's the one person who knows how much I've poured into this marriage. I didn't tell her everything at first, just hinted that something felt off. Her response was fast and firm, "Trust your gut. It's usually right." That hit me harder than I expected. Because deep down, I already knew something was wrong. I just didn't want to admit how bad it might be. Meanwhile, I kept searching. One night, after he fell asleep, I checked his car. I don't usually snoop, but this didn't feel like snooping anymore. It felt necessary. In the glove box, I found a folded piece of paper. A handwritten note. My stomach flipped as I opened it. It wasn't signed, but it wasn't from me. The handwriting was soft, rounded, almost romantic. It said, "Thank you for last weekend. I needed that more than you know." I froze. I must have read it 5 times before quietly putting it back, trying not to shake. Still, I said nothing. I wanted more. I needed to understand who this other person was. Was it someone from his past? Someone new? And why did he still come home every night, smile at me, laugh at my jokes like nothing had changed? That same week, something strange happened. I got a call from an unknown number. Normally I wouldn't pick up, but I did. It was a woman. She didn't say her name, just asked, "Are you his wife?" Her voice was shaky. I said yes, cautiously. She was silent for a few seconds, then hung up. Just like that. No explanation. No details. But it was enough to raise every alarm in my body. Who was she? Was she the one from the note? And if she had something to say, why did she back off? Then there's this weird detail I haven't figured out yet. He's been receiving mail addressed to a different name. Same last name, different first. I saw it once and brushed it off as a mailing error. But it keeps showing up. What if that name is connected to whatever he's hiding? At this point, I feel like I'm living in a suspense movie, and I don't know who the villain is yet. Him? Someone else? Or maybe it's me, losing grip on what's real. If you're watching this right now, tell me, what do you think the woman on the phone was going to say? Who do you think is writing those notes? Drop your guesses in the comments. Your theories might be closer to the truth than mine. Part 4 is coming, and you won't believe what I find next. Everything changed the night I followed him. I know how that sounds. I'm not proud of it. But I had to. The lies, the messages, the phone call, the notes, it all built up to this breaking point where I couldn't sit back and just wonder anymore. He said he was going to a late meeting. Same excuse he's been using for the past 3 weeks. Only this time, I didn't just nod and say okay. I waited 10 minutes after he left, grabbed my keys, and followed him. He didn't go to his office. He didn't even head in that direction. Instead, he drove across town, to this quiet neighborhood I'd never seen before. He parked near a small brick house, nothing fancy, but too nice to be random. He got out, checked over his shoulder once, and walked right up to the door like he'd done it 100 times. He didn't knock. He used a key. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I sat in the car, frozen, watching that door close behind him. 10 minutes passed. 15. Lights came on inside. I saw two shadows. One was definitely his. The other, maybe a woman's? I couldn't be sure. I started shaking. I wasn't ready for this. I thought I wanted answers, but now that I was this close, I just felt sick. I took out my phone. I thought about filming something, getting proof. But my hands were trembling too much. So I just sat there, staring at that house, every worst-case scenario running through my mind. Was he cheating? Was he living some kind of double life? Was this his secret family? Or was it something even darker? Then, something happened that I still can't explain. The front door opened. But it wasn't him who walked out, it was a teenager. A girl. Maybe 16 or 17. She looked right at my car, like she knew I was watching. She didn't smile. Didn't flinch. Just stared. For a second, I couldn't move. Then she turned and walked back inside, shutting the door behind her. That moment, it chilled me. Because now there was someone else in this story. Someone I didn't know existed. And she looked like someone familiar. Like someone I should recognize. I drove home in silence. I didn't sleep. I couldn't stop replaying what I saw over and over. I didn't confront him that night. He came home late, said he was exhausted from meetings, kissed me on the forehead, and went straight to bed. I watched him sleep, and all I could think was, how many lies can a person tell before they forget who they really are? Now I'm stuck. I'm holding all this information, and I don't know what to do next. Should I ask him straight up? Should I find out who that girl is first? Or should I go back to that house? Tell me what you would do. Seriously, I need to know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. The next morning, I woke up before him and just watched him sleep. I wasn't even angry, just confused. He looked so peaceful, like a man with nothing to hide. But I knew better now. There was something big he was keeping from me, and that girl, she changed everything. I had this sinking feeling that whatever I thought I knew was just the surface. I couldn't shake the way she looked at me, like she knew who I was. Like she'd seen me before. Later that day, I called Rachel again. This time, I told her everything. The house, the girl, the note, even the strange mail with a different name. I needed someone to help me think clearly. She was quiet for a moment, then said something I hadn't considered. What if the girl is related to him? I paused. Like what, his niece? I asked. But Rachel didn't answer right away. Then she said, or his daughter. It hit me like a punch in the gut. I did the math in my head. If she was around 16 or 17, that meant he could have had her before we met. Maybe even during the very early days of our relationship. But how could he have hidden a whole child from me all these years? We'd talked about starting a family more than once. And not once did he mention having a daughter. That wasn't just a lie, it was a whole other life. I had to know. So I went digging again. I pulled up old photos, checked old contacts, even went through his Facebook friends list. Nothing obvious. But then I remembered that mail with the wrong name. I searched it online. That name popped up, connected to a woman. And that woman? She lived at the same address I followed him to. Her name didn't ring any bells, but she had one tagged photo, standing with a teenage girl. The same girl I saw. And standing just out of frame in the background was my husband. My stomach dropped. I saved the photo and stared at it for what felt like hours. I didn't know if I was more hurt or shocked. He had been there. At that house. In their lives. But I wasn't part of it. I wasn't supposed to see it. And the girl, she wasn't just a secret. She was a living, breathing part of him that he kept completely hidden from me. I don't know why, but I called the number that had hung up on me before. This time, someone picked up. A woman. Same voice. I told her who I was. She didn't hang up. She just said, "I was wondering when you'd call again." And then, silence. Long silence. Before I could say anything else, she said something I still don't fully understand. "You deserve to know everything. But I don't think he's ready to tell you the truth." So now I'm sitting here again, wondering, what exactly is the truth? Why is he keeping this a secret from me? And what else is coming that I don't see yet? If you were me right now, would you confront the woman or go straight to him? Comment your thoughts. I'm seriously torn. Part 6 is next, and trust me, everything's about to change. I finally decided to face him. No more second guessing, no more spying, no more wondering. I needed answers from his mouth, not clues from strangers. That evening, when he walked through the door, I didn't wait for him to get comfortable. I stood in the kitchen, heart racing, and said 4 words that changed everything: "We need to talk." He froze. His eyes flickered, like he knew this wasn't going to be a normal conversation. I told him everything, about the messages, the hotel receipts, the girl, the house, the other woman. I didn't even raise my voice. I just laid it all out, like facts on a table, and waited. He didn't deny it. That was the hardest part. He just sat down and rubbed his face like the weight of everything finally caught up to him. Then, in a voice I almost didn't recognize, he said, "I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how." He told me the girl was his daughter. From a relationship that happened years before we met. He never knew about her until 2 years ago, when the woman called him out of nowhere and said their daughter wanted to meet him. He said he didn't mean to lie, but once he started, it felt impossible to stop. He didn't want to lose me. He didn't want to mess everything up. I sat there, stunned. 2 years. For 2 whole years, he'd been living this double life. Seeing his daughter in secret. Supporting her. Visiting her. And I had no idea. All that time, I was planning vacations, trying to get pregnant, thinking we were building a future, while he was hiding a whole other family behind my back. Then came the twist I never expected. I asked him why the girl kept looking at me that way, like she knew me. He hesitated. Then he said, "Because she does." My heart dropped. He told me that when they first started meeting, his daughter got curious. She found my social media, watched my stories, looked at our photos. And one day, without telling him, she came to my work. Just to see me in person. He never knew until she admitted it later. She didn't speak to me, but she was there. She'd seen me. Watched me. More than once. I felt cold all over. This wasn't just about a secret daughter. This was about me being in the middle of something I had no clue was happening. I was part of her world long before I knew she existed. I told him I needed space. I wasn't sure if I could forgive him. I still don't know. But just as I was walking out the door, my phone buzzed. It was a text. From an unknown number. It said, "You only know half the truth. Ask him about 2016. And just like that, everything shifted again. What do you think happened in 2016? What's the other half of the story I don't know yet? Drop your theories in the comments, because the story isn't over. Not even close. When I read that message, ask him about 2016, I knew I couldn't walk away just yet. I turned around, went back inside, and showed him the text. His face went pale. He didn't even try to hide it. He sat down slowly, like he was carrying the weight of something he'd buried deep. He looked me in the eye and said, "I made a mistake back then. A big one." He told me that in 2016, during a rough patch early in our marriage, he had reconnected with an old flame. It was brief, he said. A few months. And he ended it, swore it was over. But what he didn't know then was that she was pregnant, and she never told him. That same woman turned out to be the mother of the girl I saw. His daughter. She only reached out 2 years ago because her daughter had questions. She wanted to know who her father was. And instead of telling me the truth, he tried to fix everything behind closed doors. He thought he could protect our marriage by keeping me in the dark. But lies don't protect anything. They just build walls between people who should be on the same side. He apologized. Not just once, but deeply. For hiding his daughter. For lying. For letting me feel like a stranger in my own relationship. I could see the regret in him, honest, heavy regret. But I also knew that forgiveness isn't something you give in one night. It's something that takes time, trust, and choice. I met the girl a week later. Her name is Mia. And despite everything, she was kind. Smart. Thoughtful. She said she'd always wanted to know who her father really was, and who I was too. We talked, just the two of us. And I saw a side of her that reminded me of me. It hurt, but it also healed something. A weird, unexpected connection that wasn't her fault. She didn't ask for any of this. None of us did. It took a while, but I decided not to end the marriage, not because everything was suddenly perfect, but because we both agreed to rebuild with the truth this time. I set boundaries. We went to therapy. And slowly, painfully, we started over. I'm not saying it's all sunshine now. But it's real. And that's more than we had before. If you're watching this and wondering if love can survive betrayal, my answer is sometimes. But only if both people are ready to be honest, even when it hurts. So tell me, how do you feel about this ending? Would you have forgiven him? Would you want a part 2 to see how things are going a year later? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I'd really love to know.